The Simpsons, the Olympic Park bombing, and Watergate are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is July 27th, 2022. It is the 208th day of the year. We got 157 days left in 2022. It is the 30th Wednesday in the 31st week and the 37th day of summer. You got 57 days until fall. If today's your birthday, your birthstones are still rubies or onyx. Today is National New Jersey Day. Yeah, they get their own day. On July 27th, National New Jersey Day recognizes the third state to join the Union. Find out what's unique and captivating about the Garden State. That's what it says on the website. When Giovanni da Verrazzano, I believe that's his name, first explored the shores of the Atlantic coast, he explored lands which included New Jersey. He discovered several communities which later were known as Delaware Indians. In 1660, the Dutch found New Jersey's first European settlement. In 1664, just 4 years later, the British took control. The land was divided into two halves and named New Jersey after the Isle of Jersey in the English Channel, which was fought over between the British and the French for many years. Leading up to the American Revolution, the colony as a whole was equally divided in its loyalties to the crown. Due to New Jersey's central location among the 13 colonies, more battles during the Revolutionary War took place here than any other state. While the state was the third to enter the Union, New Jersey signed the Bill of Rights before any other state. These days, it's the most taxed state in the Union, and it also has the most Superfund sites. Those are chemical cleanup or hazardous material cleanup sites. All right, let's see what else July 27th has given us. 1775, the founding of the U.S. Army Medical Department. The Second Continental Congress passes legislation establishing a hospital for an army consisting of 20,000 men. 1919, the Chicago race riots erupts after a racial incident occurred on the South Side beach, leading up to 38 fatalities and 537 injured over a 5-day period. 1929, the Geneva Convention of 1929, dealing with the treatment of prisoners of war, is signed by 53 nations. So the Geneva Convention is a very interesting thing. It is basically rules of war. They actually sat down and came up with rules about warfare, which sounds kind of strange, but I understand. And it was started by a Swiss businessman who went to visit the battlefield of Solferino, which was Austrians versus Napoleon, and anyway, that doesn't matter. It's what he saw when he got there is what matters. Very few of the soldiers that were injured or the civilians that were injured were being taken care of. Now, there's a lot that goes into this one, but he basically came up with the idea for the Red Cross, and the whole Red Cross kind of got the ball rolling for the Geneva Convention. The Swiss businessman, whose last name was Dunant, kind of gave this report that said that this is what's going on, this is what needs to be done, and we need to have some political backing to this movement. Basically, so all countries understood that the Red Cross is neutral, and anyone that has that on them should not be considered a combatant, and they should be able to move freely among the battlefield, military hospitals, to help the wounded of either side. Well, this sparked the Geneva Convention of 1864. 12 European countries signed the agreement that laid out different rules and regulations for modern warfare. And the Geneva Convention isn't just one convention, it's actually the Geneva Conventions, as in plural. The first one in 1864 dealt with how prisoners are treated and how the wounded are treated and all that. Then in 1906, which is known as the Second Convention, established different rules for naval ships and things like that, and hospital ships are considered neutral, things of that nature. In 1929, the Third Convention dealt with protections and fair conditions for prisoners of war. And in 1949, the fourth and final Geneva Convention dealt with how civilians are to be treated and non-combatants. And a lot of that was brought on with some of the things Japan did during World War II. Japan signed on to the Geneva Convention, but they never ratified it, and they really broke a lot of rules during World War II. Now, I've seen a bunch of different things, and there was a big decision-making process that President Truman, before he dropped the 2 atomic bombs on Japan. And one of his final decisions was, look, they've never followed the rules of war. Why should we? The Japanese army just had a different way of doing things, and I think a lot of it goes back to their history of samurai and all that stuff. Interesting fact about that, the Japanese culture and samurai and all that stuff. When the Americans won on some of the different islands during World War II and there were still Japanese soldiers there, as the Americans were driving by in trucks, the Japanese had surrendered. As the Americans would drive by them walking on the road, they would turn their back to the vehicles. And the Americans were getting angry. They're like, these people are showing their back to us. We defeated them. But they weren't getting that. The Japanese felt that they were unworthy to look at the people that defeated them. Now, I just totally glossed over that and did a big broad brush with it, but still, you get the idea. 1974, the Watergate scandal. The House of Representatives Judiciary Committee votes 27-11 to recommend the first article of impeachment for obstruction of justice against President Richard Nixon. 1996 in Atlanta, a pipe bomb explodes at Centennial Park during the 1996 Summer Olympics. If you've never heard about Richard Jewell, he's the guy that found it, and they put him through the ringer. They treated him like he was the one that did it. He always wanted to be a cop, and he was working as a security guard, and they just thought he was a wannabe cop and trying to be the hero and stage this whole thing, and it wasn't him. They made him look like a total fool. And he went to court. After he was exonerated, he went to court and sued the FBI, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, CNN, New York Post, Piedmont College, anyone and everyone that basically made him look like a fool and made him, blamed him for this. He sued him. Almost everyone settled with him. Sadly, Richard Jewell died of complications from diabetes in 2007. He was only 44 years old. But in a nice little twist, in Centennial Park, near where the bombing happened, there's a monument honoring Richard Jewell as well as some other law enforcement and first responders that were at the scene. Some a-hole named Eric Rudolph was the guy who did it. Movies released on July 27, 2007, The Simpsons Movie. Such a great cartoon, animation, whatever you want to call it. This is an animated comedy based on the long-running sitcom The Simpsons. When Homer contaminates Springfield's water supply, the town is encased in a giant glass dome. He then sets out on a quest of redemption to save his family and his marriage. I probably watched the first 10 seasons of The Simpsons religiously, and then I just kind of faded away. I don't know. Things changed and I wasn't interested anymore. Now that it's on Disney, I keep thinking I'm going to start watching it again. Born on July 27, 1922, Norman Lear, producer of classic and influential social sitcoms including All in the Family, Sanford and Son, and The Jeffersons. He was a producer for over 70 projects throughout his long career. The first show he ever produced was The Martha Raye Show in 1954. He was a known political activist, founding People for the American Way in 1981. He was credited as a writer on over 10 different TV series. He directed the movie Cold Turkey with Dick Van Dyke, which I remember that, and it was so funny. It's a whole town decided they were going to quit smoking. Just everyone was angry at each other, and the town fell into chaos because everyone was going cold turkey. Died on July 27, 2003, we lost the great Bob Hope, legendary vaudeville comedian, radio personality, and actor who entertained military personnel in 57 USO tours from 1942 to 1991. He pioneered the form of self-deprecating humor, performed hundreds of acts per year during the height of his career. He hosted the Academy Awards 14 times and appeared in over 70 films and short movies. At a young age, he began busking on the Luna Park streetcar by singing and making jokes. He won an amateur talent contest for his Charlie Chaplin impersonation in 1915. In 1997, the U.S. Congress declared him the first and only honorary veteran of the U.S. Armed Forces. He went to a lot of combat zones. Sure, he never picked up a weapon, but he was there. The only thing he didn't do was go through basic training. I went through this thing for a while there. I just loved watching Bob Hope movies. I was a kid. I don't know why. All of a sudden, I just got into Bob Hope movies. On the morning of July 27, 2003, Bob Hope died of pneumonia at his home in Toluca Lake, California, 2 months after his 100th birthday. His grandson, Zach, told the TV interviewer Soledad O'Brien that when asked on his deathbed where he wanted to be buried, Hope is allegedly to have told his wife, Dolores, "Surprise me." His wife, Dolores, joined him in 2011. She died 4 months after her 102nd birthday. What were these two doing at home to keep themselves alive that long? That's incredible. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a productive day, and be nice to each other.